As you could hear, and it was very evident, Justin's an enthusiastic advocate for advancing U.S. government understanding and use of blockchain technology. I'd like to go ahead and repeat the URL for his website. It is a great site if you want to get up to speed quickly on what's gone on in this space. Again, it was emerging.digital.gov. Thanks again, Justin. If you're joining, this is a webinar on blockchain and healthcare sponsored by the Office of National Coordinator for Health IT and presented with the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation. Next up, we are going to have a presenter from the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Yega is with NIST for short. He will discuss the recent release of a draft NIST report on blockchain technology, which I read a little bit myself. It looks very good. And some of the work he's doing at NIST related to blockchain. Dylan?
Hi, thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm a computer scientist with NIST and the Computer Security Division, and I am the project leader, principal investigator of blockchain technology within our division. So just a little bit about NIST and blockchain technology is that we have been looking at it a lot recently. And many researchers from many different backgrounds, a lot of computer scientists, cryptographers, and mathematicians who are very much interested in this technology. So it's very important for us to continue to evaluate it and to look at it. So did that advance the slide? Like was said, I'm going to talk about the draft NISTer. It's draft NISTer A202, and it's a block technology overview. I'm going to briefly touch on the feedback that was given to me so far, and then talk about what I'm calling the NIST internal blockchain workbench. That's the research area that I'm currently focusing on, and then some of the standardization work that we are doing at NIST with other standard development organizations, and then just briefly touch on future work that we are planning. So we released on the 24th of January, Drafter 8202. It's about 60 pages. It's a fairly short read. And it's a high-level overview of blockchain technology in plain, simple terms as I could possibly run. It's not quite as short and succinct as the NIST cloud definition, which I believe is 3 pages total, but I tried. So provide an overview of the underlying cryptographic technologies found in the majority of blockchain systems, and try to explain them that a project manager or CEO of a company can look at it and say, okay, so do we need this technology? Can we use this technology? And that's who we were targeting. We weren't targeting the computer scientists and the people who develop their business and whatnot, who are asking them the questions. Over essentially the mechanics of some blockchain technologies and provide a general overview of how they work. We will also touch on a couple of more in-depth topics, such as varying different consensus mechanisms. We didn't go into every single one possible because more and more every day, and so we would have had a much longer paper with a lot less technical content. We talk about update technology via soft and hard forks. We talk contracts, and we get into some categorizations of blockchain technology, as well as considerations for use. And it's a continuing to expand section as we get more and more questions from people asking us about it, and we're continuing to develop that section. And then we touch on some of the more known blockchains out there, your cryptocurrencies and smart contract platforms, as well as some private blockchain platforms as well. So overall, the feedback for this has been good. I've got a response, a lot of comments, a lot of very technical, detailed comments, and we are adjusting the paper accordingly in sections. Some sections have been completely rewritten. Some have seen augmentations. Some have seen additional references added. So if you are interested, you can go in paper and read it and submit feedback, because we are still taking feedback until the 23rd, so that's next Friday. So, and it's also likely to go out for a second comment period afterwards, because we have received substantial feedback on various different parts of the paper. So the project that I'm working on mostly at NIST, it's like I said, called the Internal Blockchain Workbench. It's essentially a privatized blockchain network here at NIST, where we take off-the-shelf blockchain software and funnily break them so that they can't connect to their main block networks, and then perform experiments on them. And from their networks, just so that it's a protect ourselves so nobody can come back later and say, oh, you're mining Bitcoin and that's, you know, against XYZ policy. It's just there for research. None of the cryptocurrencies are live cryptocurrencies or anything, but it gives our researchers a test bed that's set up for them to experiment without having to learn the ins and outs of every single blockchain they may want to test an experiment on. Set up with a lot of development tools and network analysis software so that they can dive and essentially look at their research project that they want to do and get good results from it. There's a couple proposed projects that are currently ongoing projects, such as we have people who are looking at identity and identity management and what that means with a blockchain. Could use blockchain for those particular use cases, and if you can, what aspects of the blockchain, what kind of blockchain would you need for those sort of applications, or what they're likely to do is they're telling me is probably not the best idea to use it for identity management, but use it as some sort of data storage in identity management system. We have some who are very much interested in the cryptographic modules within existing blockchains, because we've got a program here at NIST, the CMVP, the Cryptographic Module Validation Program, which looks at implementations of cryptographic modules and essentially says, yes, this passes, or yes, this fails. And we want to look at the underlying crypto in blockchains to see if, yes, those pass, no, those don't pass. In regards to what's out there already, what's been validated, we're probably not going to get into a validation process for blockchains, but we want to see it to make sure that the crypto is strongly implemented and implemented correctly. We also have a couple of people who are very strong in testing of software who are going to be looking at combinatorial testing methods for smart contracts, because to write these distributed applications, you need good, strong testing for that, and they want to see if they can apply combinatorial testing methods to them. And the workbench is continuing to be developed. It started to develop last year and is going to be continued to be developed this year. We've just ordered a bunch more hardware for it. So that's going to be expanding our off-blockchain. We initially started with 2 blockchains, a Bitcoin-like blockchain and an Ethereum-based blockchain. But we're going to continue to expand out into different cryptocurrencies and other blockchain platforms. And we're also looking to develop just a controller program so that the researchers can turn them on and off. And at the end of this project, we'll have some suite of software that we can put out for individuals or other organizations to stand up their own workbench that's very similar to the one that we have. So that's one of the output goals. This is working very so in a lot of the standard development organizations. We've been participating in the ISO Technical Committee 307 on block distributed ledger technologies, as well as the U.S. Mirror Committee in Insights, and that was founded last year, April 2017, and has had 3 meetings. We're having a 3rd meeting in May, and we continue to advance technology standards in realms of terminology, reference architectures, as well as some guidance on privacy, security, and interoperability in the future. We're also participating in X9. That's not a field that I'm currently participating in, but people here at NIST are. And the recently started blockchain initiative from the IEEE is something that we'll be getting into soon. And so some of our work here at NIST is we're going to continue to develop documentation, high-level guidance. I don't think we're going to be touching on standardization because we're doing that through the very standard development bodies. We're going to continue to work on the workbench and then participate in the standard bodies, as I said. And that, I believe, done.
I want to ask you, you said that you were taking feedback on the blockchain draft report. Is that on your website? Where can people see that?
So yeah, we have a landing page for it. I don't know the exact URL off the top of my head, but when you get to draft email address that you can then comment. I believe it's just I'll pull it up here. Okay.
Sorry.
So it would be NIST 202 -comments at NIST.gov is where you can share feedback to. For some reason, it's not showing up.
This report is, though, the website that your draft report is on?
It would be at cse.nist.gov. It's a long URL, and I can put that in chat.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a question from the audience when you're ready?
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and ask it. It's this is asking, will the NIST workbench be available to the general public?
That is something that we have been discussing internally, and we would have to figure out all of the details of what that would mean of us putting out something that general purpose data be posted to. So that is something that we have discussed, and it's something that I have to figure exactly what we would need to do that. But I'd like to put out the resources for setting up and figuring the workbench. Each one of the blockchains that we have been testing so far, there's a development of repeatable installation and configuration script to do that, to the point where I usually run it and I get a cup of coffee and come back and it's set up by the time I'm back. So we would like to release those to people so that they can test it on their own. If we do get the capabilities of hosting it at NIST for the public, then that would be great as well. But I'd have to investigate how we would do that. And the I just posted in chat to everybody is the landing page, which has some of the information of the NISTer as well as the contact email address for comments.
Excellent. So I had another quick question for you, which you may or may not respond to, but there's a lot of people who are saying you should put AI, personally identifiable information on the blockchain because of quantum computers will be commercially available in 10 years or so. Do you have any response to that, or do you want to respond to that?
I have responded to that in the past. My feelings on the matter is if it's something that cannot be revoked, you probably don't want to post it anywhere that's public, even if it is encrypted, because encryption systems encryption is only as good as the technology to break it is bad. As technology gets better, the ability to crack encrypted data becomes easier. There can also be flaws found in cryptographic algorithms. To essentially have a way to circumvent some of the strengths in them. So I would say probably don't put PII on a publicly accessible blockchain, maybe proofs of PII on the blockchain instead, and have your data, secured securely elsewhere. But it's all on how much risk you're willing to take. That would be my personal opinion matter.
Okay, so I always like to hear from folks in blockchain what their views are on that. I have another question from the audience. This question: what is the NIST position on a statement that the blockchain is immutable? I think it kind of goes with the cryptography stuff, but you can try to.
Sure. So the strength of the immutability of a blockchain is in the fact that each one of the blocks are chained to the previous one. So if you've got a high hash rate power on your blockchain, you're generating blocks at a consistent interval, and you put something in the blockchain, once immediately published, there is a small bit of tangibility in that the next block this block could be replaced by a longer chain, and then that data would not be in the longest, quote-unquote, longest chain, and therefore that is not absolutely immutable, but it should eventually be included back in the chain at a later point. So block immutability is there for the latest block, but as you add more and more to it, the data becomes harder and harder to change. So eventually will become an immutable, but not the absolute latest one per se. So I would say generally, yes, that data would be immutable, but there's still a little bit of wiggle room as stuff is being posted to it. Sir?
Yeah, I appreciate that. We have another question from, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, Ellen, this is Avinash from ONC. Hey, quick question. And I think in the media I've heard recently of thefts on the Bitcoins. I think there was recently a news in Japan that some Bitcoin-based company, Coinbase, I think, lost a boatload of Bitcoins of their customers. And it got somehow hacked. Questions again, do you guys have some idea of what actually could cause? Is it the technology which is kind of a flaw that's resulting in some of these hacks or heists that we see on the media, or it's more of human factors kind of colluding with blockchain technology that's kind of resulting in these losses? I'm curious. I don't know if you guys have not analyzed, investigated, or feel it's beyond the scope of the work you guys have done. That's fine. But I was just curious on seeing and knowing whether the technology is safe and it's just the way it's applied kind of results in these leaks, or there are some gaps in the technology that supports chain that also could be potentially vulnerable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so from all of the things I have seen, I have not done an investigation myself, but from everything that I've seen and read and heard from and looking at the technology myself, is most of these hacks are not hacks to the blockchain system itself. The block systems are usually implementing very well-known cryptography, hash algorithms, digital signature algorithms. Most of them are using NIST-directed standards in those areas as well. So the underlying cryptography in those systems are good. It does happen to be a human issue. And essentially, with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, it's shifting the paradigm. You are no longer going to a third party and saying, okay, you hold on my money. You become your own banker, is how I've heard it best likened to. So you're responsible for understanding where all your money is, where it came from, every transaction you've done. That's all on you. And what a lot of people have been doing is saying that's too much responsibility, and I'm going to give to a third party, which is these exchanges which are being hacked. And so they're taking their security, their private keys and whatnot for all of their Bitcoin accounts, and saying, here, you hold on to these for me. I hope what you're doing security-wise, because if you don't, I'm going to lose all my money. And saying that not know what they're doing, they might have overlooked something. There might be a flaw in one of the systems they're using that has a zero-day exploit. Something happens, and these exchanges are essentially being stripped of all their private keys and all of their coins siphoned out that way. So it's taking a centralized system like Bitcoin and making it re-centralized by all these people's private keys hosted at an exchange. So it's not that the blockchains are insecure, it's that people are doing insecure practices with them.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. And maybe can I ask a quick follow-up? Do we have time for a follow-up?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Maybe a quick question is, and again, I was just as I was like reading through the media and seeing Bitcoins being hacked, and a hacker does use that Bitcoin. Is it by just the whole structure of the technology where blockchains get added in, new chains get added in as new transactions get put on? Does it, in a way, again, help crime solvers figure out who hacked the Bitcoins of that user? So, for example, if the hacker then used that Bitcoin by necessarily because of the distributed ledger system, the use of it gets tracked on the blockchain, does that help in prevent or catching the thief, or completely anonymous?
Well, all transactions within the Bitcoin blockchain are transparent. That's one of the benefits of it. It says essentially you get a full record of all transactions that have ever happened. So you can know the state of the system at any given point without somebody having to tell you. So if you have all your money stolen, all your Bitcoin stolen, and you see that they were transferred to an account and then transferred to another account and then transferred to another account, you can follow that every step of the way. And what you can do is say, oh, it was taken from me. I know exactly who has it now because there's no association intrinsic to the blockchain that says this person owns this address. So that's for 10, 20, 30 times. Nope, would you know exactly who had it, if it was the same person, if it was multiple people, even if you were to track it to the point where you saw that somebody transferred it to a fiat currency through an exchange or whatnot, you wouldn't necessarily know that was the person who stolen the funds because somebody could have bought something with Bitcoin and transferred that over, and you would see that transfer went to that person. And so they transferred it to a fiat currency. You know, if you had the cops show up and arrest them, it might not necessarily be that person. So you can sell the transfer of funds, but you can't connect it to the real people without it means that I wouldn't even begin to understand how us would connect people that way. But it happened. They've caught some people through finding an address reuse, which is something a lot of people try to avoid. They try to have a unique address per transaction just to have more degrees of anonymity to it. So but it's intrinsic to the blockchain system itself.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I have another audience question. If you're willing to take another one.
Okay.
It is, how do you envision multiple agencies conducting business transactions on a blockchain? Do you see challenges in re-engineering business processes that require cross-agency data?
That's difficult for me to answer because it would depend on exactly what the data was. Most blockchains right now store very small amounts of data per transaction, and I don't know if you guys have gotten a lot of government emails, but they're usually very big and verbose. And so a custom system would have to be engineered for that. I don't think you would be using Bitcoin for it. You'd probably have some one of the enterprise blockchain platforms to do such a thing, but it'd definitely be possible to set some sort of data sharing storage capability up through use of a blockchain system. But what I ask is, would blockchain system provide you benefits that are better than existing systems? And that's something that everybody who's looking at, should we do a blockchain? Should we use a blockchain? What they should be asking themselves is, what would this get us that we don't currently have? So would it provide better cross-agency data sharing? It might. We would have to look at the individual use cases for that. Is that okay? Did I fully?
No, we didn't answer, but I'm sure anybody else did. I just wanted to.
A quick summation of it would be, it would depend on the use case and whether or not it has more benefit than existing systems in place. It could be possible, yes, but you would have to look at it from that basis.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at any other questions from the audience. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So government planning on accepting cryptocurrency as a payment solution. I've heard this question before. A lot of people, obviously because Bitcoin is the blockchain that is most well known, everybody assumes there will be coins or cryptocurrency or something used. What do you, in response to that, do you think that happen, or are they going to do it without tokens, without cryptocurrencies, and how would they do that?
I'm sure what the rest of the government's plan are in regards to adopting and using cryptocurrencies. I can't really speak to that.
No, we're bombarding you with questions, so that's fine. Don't feel like you apologize if something we ask you is outside the purview of what you're speaking on. Okay, there is another question that came up. What is your opinion about the so-called editable blockchain? For example, chameleon hash. Do you know about that? I don't.
I've spoken to several of cryptographers here at NIST about it, and for the most part, they did talk about it. No, it is a way for you to essentially replace a bit of data without breaking a hash chain, and so it would be useful. I'm not sure because one of the reasons why you want a blockchain is for the immutability. So if you would like mutable data, you would probably want to look at a different solution and trying to change the way a blockchain works to be more like a traditional database, another data storage mechanism, transaction framework. So I don't have any opinion on them, say. I don't have a lot of exposure to them outside of some of the white papers and stuff that I've looked at before. So.
Okay, we appreciate you letting us know, your opinion, Dylan. I know you know a lot about blockchain, so it's always helpful to hear from somebody who's actually familiar, that has used it, experimented with it. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and take a break now, unless you have anything you would like to say.
I'll just thank you very much for letting me speak.
Have you? Everybody should read the NIST draft report and get in any kind of feedback by February 23rd. Is that right, Dylan?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody, we're going to go ahead and take a break until 2 p.m. when we will continue the webinar, where we have 2 panels coming up. Blockchain in Healthcare, sponsored by the Office of the National Coordinator for Health IT and co-presented